In the words of my people, brop.
Welcome to the Upshift MX podcast. And now, your host, Zach Perry.
All right, what's up, everybody? This is episode number 2 of the Upshift MX podcast. We are here in the Neese household. Luke, big thank you to you and your whole family. My first guest, only guest, the man of the hour, coming off of your first Supercross main qualification in Daytona, no less. Luke Neese, what's up, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Glad I can be on your podcast.
Dude, I'm excited. Yeah, you were one of the first people I thought of it. The timing worked out well, so I'm going to take a little bit of the fame off of your moment.
Yeah.
But, I was pumped when you qualified. It's good to see one of the local guys growing up that's actually able to make it. I don't know if you guys – we were talking about how bad my style is in the last episode, but there's a track called Silver Valley in Lexington, North Carolina. It's got these big, huge jumps. I'm riding, minding my own business, squidding around, and all of a sudden Luke Neese comes blowing by me, hits this jump, and is like totally backwards, like facing me. Sickest whip I've ever seen. We'll put his Instagram and everything in the bio. You guys got to check out. That's how to throw a dirt bike, man. Like, we're gonna have to do a private lesson or something so I can figure something out.
Anytime we'll go back and I'll show you.
All right, you guys heard it, so we're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna be the next Axel Hodges thanks to Luke Neese. It's gonna happen. Yeah. So 2019, I gotta think has been going pretty well. You gotta be pretty happy with it. But before we get into that, we're gonna get into it. Let's take a step back as far as 2018, just how you got into the pro ranks and where you are now. I know you were doing like the Ricky Carmichael Road to Supercross through the Arena Cross series. How did you like the Arena Cross stuff?
It was good. I think it helped me out a lot with maturing and stuff. Like, it was more of a stepping stone for me because I definitely really struggled. In Arena Cross, I just struggle with crashing a lot. But I think it's definitely better to go into Arena Cross first and go straight into Supercross. Just the tight racing and being in the little stadiums and getting used to it, basically. But I liked it, even though it was kind of frustrating for me. But,
well, it's interesting that you bring up the whole stepping stone aspect of it, because even the title, The Road to Supercross, it kind of paints Arena Cross as this middle ground where the end goal is obviously the big stadiums of Supercross. But your dad, Jim Neese, for those that don't know, is the 2007 Arena Cross Lights East champion. Did I get that correct?
Yeah.
So a little bit different for you. A lot of these guys, they kind of come in through the amateur ranks and they don't have a name built up in Arena Cross especially. But your dad, I know me personally growing up going to the Arena Cross in Greensboro, like my dad was always like, Jim Neese is the guy. Like, that's who we watch. And so did you feel any type of pressure going into Arena Cross specifically with your dad having a past in it?
Not really. I kind of like to make a name for my own self a little bit. But I didn't have any pressure on me. I wasn't really expecting anything, and I was just kind of going in there just to get my points and get out. Basically.
Now, I would think kind of on the flip side, though, him having some of that experience, he probably definitely was able to give you some pointers as far as the way the racing style is set up.
Yeah, he definitely helped me out a lot because I was definitely struggling, and he definitely knew the ropes around it too.
Right.
So, and I was good everywhere else except for the whoops. I really struggled in whoops, and so he definitely helped me out a lot.
So what were some of the biggest differences? It's not like you're just doing local outlaw races. Like, you've been to Loretta's, you've been to, Minio's, you've been around some of the top names in amateur racing and even some that are now pros. What was the biggest difference going even from the amateur nationals into Arena Cross?
You have a lot of guys that have been doing it for a while now. Like, you had Jacob Hayes, Travis Sewell, Jace Owen. You had a bunch of big names in there that have already been in there for a couple years. So you didn't want to get too caught up with them. You had the lights class, which had all of the amateur guys in it. So it wasn't too bad. It worked out good, but it was definitely just different.
So just to clarify, you guys were able to race the lights class and then you were able to go into the main class as well.
Yeah,
right?
You could do both. It just depended on which one you qualified for. If you qualified for the main one, then you could get like 3 Supercross points or something like that. And if you qualified for the lights, then you get like 1 or 2. So
yeah, that's definitely got to be interesting because I know Jacob Hayes pretty well, and especially up until
Yeah.
last year, that was kind of his career.
Yeah.
Was the Babbitt
Yeah.
Steel and arena cross, and so that's got to be kind of a strange ground. You know, you want to battle
Yeah.
with these guys, and you're just trying to get your points, and
Yeah.
they're trying to make a name for themselves in
Yeah.
arena cross. But do you think? I don't mean, we talk about how sick your style is, and you're very fluid on the bike, not even just
Yeah.
throwing whips, but you know, you're very technical on the bike. Do you feel like your style helps you adapt to the Supercross, where you kind of have to move the bike around more?
Yeah. I'm pretty good with rhythm sections and stuff, so like my timing is pretty spot on. But Supercross is like, I feel like I'm okay with it. I definitely just kind of struggle with little things. This is my first year, but my timing's really well, and then I'm getting better with the whoops too. So I mean, I definitely think my style fits it. So
Awesome. Yeah, no, I would have to think anyone that's, you know, like you talk about like Cole Seeley, who has the background in
Yeah.
BMX, anybody that's able to really smoothly put the
Yeah,
bike
yeah.
where they need it in the air. Definitely something I can't do. So I got mad respect for it. So you did the arena cross deal through the beginning part of the year, and then you were still doing some of the amateur nationals as well.
Yep.
You won, I think I've got it written down, was that 2 titles at Mill Creek?
yeah, I won too.
So obviously up then 2018, did you have any expectations as far as if you were on anyone's radar?
Kinda, not really. I was always there, but I never really did anything. I just kind of struggled at some of them, so it was tough for me. I feel like I was on some people's radars, but I just never got to it.
Right.
It's kind of hard to explain.
Well,
but
and I mean, I
yeah.
think it's kind of biased from me because like I've known you for a long,
Yeah.
long time, and so obviously I would look for you and any of the local guys
Yeah.
at these events. But I've always kind of been curious at it because it's not like, yes, you may not have been winning all these events, but you weren't just getting waxed. Like
Yeah.
you were clearly making a name for yourself, and we kind of talked about it before the show. Some of these events you'd go and you know, like a Mill Creek, where you'd go and you'd just have spectacular
Yeah.
performances. And then you'd have some events where, whether bad luck or crashes or whatever, and it just doesn't seem like you could get the result. Do you feel like that was kind of the story of your amateur career in a
Yeah.
lot of ways?
Yeah. Yeah, like I won a couple races. Like I won Daytona one year, and then I
Right.
won Mill Creek. And then when we get to Loretta's, I never did what I was expected to do. Really, I just could not ride that track. I just always got on pump, and I just could never do it there.
Right.
So
Well, I'm glad you bring up Loretta's because that was kind of one of my next talking points. That's obviously the pinnacle of amateur motocross racing, and it seems like now especially
Yeah.
people are streamlined and funneled to go the Loretta's route to get on a factory radar. What are your opinions as far as like what the weight behind Loretta's is? I mean, like, you know, some people, they've made their career solely off of that race and
Yeah.
how well they do there, and then you have other people where they might have really stellar rides outside of the ranch, and it just seems like the pieces don't fall into place. What do you think about the way Loretta's has kind of shaped amateur racing?
I personally, I don't like it. It just kind of sucks because we all train for that one big race just out of the whole year, and then their dreams get crushed because then they don't do good, or then you got some that makes their dreams basically and they do good, but it's just everything leads to Loretta's. That's it, and it's just I just don't like it. I like the pro stuff way better.
And I mean, I feel like I've never done the whole amateur national circuit, but you hear a lot of these guys, they almost call, you know, Ponca and some of these, they're the warm-up races.
Yeah.
Before, you know, that's where you test your speed for Loretta's. I don't understand it. I mean, you know, I feel like it overshadows a lot of people. And so after Loretta's was when you made your pro debut. You got the 2018
Yep.
Outdoor Nationals. Unadilla, correct? Was the
Yeah,
first one?
Unadilla. What was it? Unadilla, Budds Creek, and Ironman.
Ironman were the last
Yeah.
3. That's right. So I know the race day itself was mutter at Unadilla.
Yeah.
But qualifying was still good, right?
Yeah, qualifying, it was amazing. One of my favorite tracks by far.
So take me through the whole day as far as, you know, things have changed. All of a sudden you got the
Yeah.
pro card. This is the real show. Did you feel more pressure? Did you feel more nervous lining up? Because you did the 450 class, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Did you
450.
feel like, oh, this is it? Like, I'm here, I got to make something happen? Or were you like, I'm here, let's just enjoy the moment, do what we can do? How did you kind of go about your pro debut?
I definitely didn't have any pressure. I didn't really know what to expect. It was my first race, so I was just enjoying it. It was my first time being at that track too, so, and it definitely took me a minute to get used to it. But I actually set one of my fastest lap times in 4 laps. And but after the 4 laps, the guy crashed, and that was it basically.
Right.
It was red cross flag the whole entire time. But I definitely didn't have any pressure on me. But I had a blast. So.
Yeah, I think your whole family, I mean, like I said, I've gotten to grow up watching you, and our fathers know each other, and I think even our moms connected at the arena cross or something like that. But the family aspect you guys have always taken very seriously, and it always seems like you guys are a unit at the race. How much of an impact has that been through, maybe the struggles at Loretta's, or even, the pro debut? You have, the mini dads or the moto heads or whatever you want to call them, where they put all this pressure on. It doesn't seem like you've faced that, because I think a lot of it, with your dad being a racer, he kind of gets that too.
Yeah. He never pressured me to even race motocross. It was just all basically what I wanted to do. I actually played baseball before I even raced. But I actually had to decide what I wanted to do, if I wanted to race dirt bikes or if I wanted to play baseball. And I said race dirt bikes. So, but he never really pushed me into doing anything. Obviously, he'll get mad if I don't ride good.
Right.
But, I mean, that's any dad or mom or anything like that. So, but no, he never pressures me or anything. It's just always laid back and do it for fun.
100%
so,
support.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's the way it should be. So, obviously, Unadilla, the mutter kind of was a big, I guess you just got to go for it at that point. Like the mutter, I guess that was, you've heard a lot of opinions. Do you like the mud?
Depends.
Yeah.
There's different muds.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got the slimy one, and then you got the really sticky one. But I'm more of a slimy guy.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So you still get pelted with rocks at Unadilla too. So that doesn't have to be fun.
Yeah.
And then Budds Creek, I've been there before.
Yeah.
How did that weekend go?
It was good. I showed my speed there, but first moto I really struggled with the track. I just wasn't comfortable at all. Second moto, I was in like 18th, made my way all the way up to 18th, and I had a pretty big crash and kind of ended my day on that one. But I showed my speed, and I showed what I could actually do, so it was pretty good for me. So
now, obviously, I'm sure you were training for national size motos, but like at Loretta's, it's the 20+2, and then the outdoors, it's the 30+2. Mm-hmm. Did you notice a big difference like towards the end of the moto, like? Because, I mean, obviously you can practice, but it's hard to get race day intensity. Did you feel a big difference?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, because during Loretta's, I actually just trained for nationals, because I don't know if I was just kind of over Loretta's and I was already just ready to do nationals, but I was already doing 30+2
looking ahead. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was definitely tough, but it was, Loretta's is definitely easier than nationals.
Right,
so,
absolutely.
But it was good.
And then Ironman, it was an electrical problem, right? In qualifying, is that what happened?
Yeah, it was obviously a mutter.
Yeah.
It was, which we thought Unadilla was bad, but Ironman was way worse. But 3 laps in, my front brakes went out, and then I tried to do another lap, and my bike started cutting off about halfway through that lap, and then my back brakes went out. So now I was like,
might as well go ahead and just cut it there.
Yeah, it was. But it just kept cutting off and stuff, so I just couldn't really do a lap.
So after an Ironman, you were able to get your feet wet in the pro ranks. Did you immediately go into Supercross prep, as trying to figure out what you were going to do for the next year?
Well, I had to go to Phoenix to get 2 more points because of all my crashes in arena cross. I was 2 points shy of getting my pro license for Supercross. So I was training for Supercross already, but I was also trying to get my points too. So.
And then, so the shift from Supercross, like we talked about the arena cross, the difference, is there a huge difference between arena cross and Supercross? I mean, like, obviously the jumps are still straight up, it's a similar style of racing, but the stadiums are much more wide open. Did you feel more comfortable on a Supercross track compared to an arena cross track?
Yeah, a little bit, because you can just kind of open it up a little bit more in Supercross. But I mean, overall, with like the rhythm sections and whoops and stuff like that, they're pretty close to the same. The rhythms are a little bit longer, and the whoops aren't as steep and big as arena cross ones. But it's kind of close to the same, but just Supercross you can open it up a little bit more.
Cool. So the Supercross, like a pro day in the outdoor nationals compared to a pro day at Supercross, which is more hectic, more, was it a big difference as far as qualifying and figuring out the track, everything in one day on a Supercross track compared to outdoors? Which was more crazy for you coming into it?
I think Supercross definitely. Nationals, it's just a little bit easier because nationals aren't as bad or hectic as you would say.
Right.
It's just Supercross is just a lot more technical, and you just have to put in that one fast lap, and it's tough because the tracks are tight, and then you got all these riders with you too, so it just makes it hard.
Was that a big adjustment as far as putting in like a burner lap, and then there's guys around you that are just rolling around in race lines?
Yeah, it's hard doing that. From coming from amateur to that, it's hard going out for your first time and putting in that one fast lap. It's hard.
So I know you went to Arlington. How did that day go? I mean, first couple Supercrosses. What were the biggest takeaways? What did you learn from them?
Just from Arlington, I was a nervous wreck.
Right.
Because I wasn't expecting anything, but it was more just butterflies because
You're there.
Yeah, it was just crazy just being there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting anything. That race, I was just expecting to qualify and just do my own thing. And I did qualify. Not very good, but I qualified and everything, and then just kind of tried to enjoy it a little bit because I was struggling with that track. It was so rutted. But from that race, I kept getting a little bit better. And then we got to Daytona, and I didn't qualify very good. I wasn't comfortable at all. Neither was I in the heat race. And then when we got to LCQ, I showed up.
Right.
So, but I just kept getting a little bit better.
So Daytona, I mean, like all the critics, they call it kind of an outdoorsy Supercross. But looking at it from the outside, at least, it seemed like that was one of the more Supercross technical Daytonas that we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
But with the sand and stuff like that, obviously, there's a little bit of a difference in riding. Do you feel like the changes that Daytona has compared to a normal Supercross, do you feel like that suited you better? Or did you just show up, everything was ready that day?
I think I mainly just showed up. Just everything kind of clicked for me there. I don't know why, but I came out and I was just on it. So
you said, you kind of mentioned the LCQ was where, you brought it. Did you have like that moment where you were just like, I don't need to be stressed out, like this is it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I came out with a good start, and I just did my own thing. I was just putting in laps. So
what was the feeling like when you came across the finish line?
It was good. We had two LCQs basically. We started off one time, and I came out second, and they red flagged it.
Right.
So I was definitely a little bit pissed after that, but I came out good again. I came out about sixth and made my way up to fourth, and it was I don't think I breathed the whole entire 4 laps, however many laps it was, but it felt like way too many. So, I was pumped. Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, obviously you got to be pumped up and excited when you come. But did you kind of go into like, all right, I got to recover. Like, we got a main event now, or was it just like, let's just make the main event what it is and just have fun?
When I came off, I thought I got fourth, but when I came off, I saw two other guys were in front of the other 4 guys, so or other 3 guys. So I was like, did I actually make it or what? And I didn't ever, like, I was looking for my dad, looking for him, and he's just walking back like no big deal. I'm like, well, did we make it or not? Like, I didn't know whether to be happy or sad. So it was, but I think he was still in race mode.
Right.
So he knew we had to get back super fast. So he was just trying to get ready.
Yeah, get the bike ready, get back for it.
But going in the main event, I knew I was going to be tired because of the LCQ. I held my breath the whole time. But I was just happy making the main,
I can only imagine.
So it was awesome. But,
so do you still, I mean, I'm geeking out right here just because you've made a main, but like, you're passing some of these guys. Do you have a little bit of that like starstruck mentality almost where you view them up there? Because I mean, obviously I'm not a pro. I'm not near a pro. So like these guys are riding laps around me, but like you show up to a local track. I mean, you're running with these top guys. Have you been able to kind of put yourself on their level as far as like you look at them and you're like, okay, like I'm here to play too, or is it still kind of like they're up here? Yeah,
I mean those guys are definitely rolling. At the practice tracks I've been running with some of the guys I've been training with, so I know I can be there. I just gotta get in that habit of just doing my laps and riding. But I don't see them as just like wow, those guys are
right.
I mean, they're just like me. They're just racing.
Exactly.
So they're not like superheroes or anything like where they're not any different than us.
Right.
So it's just
kind of getting that
Yeah.
used to being there and the
Yeah.
environment and everything.
Exactly.
And I think that says a lot about your maturity level
Yeah.
too. You're not trying to rush the process. You're just trying to let it come to you.
Yeah.
So main event, 21st overall.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I would take that all day.
Yeah, I was in like 18th, and like the last 3 laps to go, I fell pretty hard and hurt my shoulder. So my tongue was in the spokes.
Right,
So
I can
was
only imagine.
done. I was basically falling off the bike, and that's basically what happened. So.
And then the following weekend, we talked about this a little bit too. You got the Dino Merch Award. We
Yeah.
gotta talk about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't even think I was gonna be able to get it, so it was cool when he showed up.
So now that you've gotten your feet wet in the outdoor nationals, you've gotten your feet wet in Supercross, kind of been able to figure out where you're at. What are your goals? I mean, like I know you've got to be working on a plan for the rest of this year and so on. I mean, what should we be looking for out of Luke Neese?
These next 2 Supercross races I have, I just want to put it in the main event both times, and just be consistent in the main event. I don't care about where I finish as long as I'm making it to the main event. I'm happy. So. That's just basically my goal for this year because it's just kind of a learning experience for me.
Awesome. And then as far as outdoors, you said you're doing the East Coast outdoors. Yeah. It's kind of same thing, I'm assuming, put it in the main and just try to learn? Or...
Yeah. Since I did a few last year, I'm expecting top 20s.
Cool. Okay.
And just kind of consistent top 20s. I know I can qualify. I know I have the speed for it, just being consistent and stuff.
So from the riding to the nutrition to the training, what are, let's get a top 3 as far as the biggest things you think you need to improve on. I mean, I think you've said already,
Yeah.
you've spoken volumes to how well you've done, and you're maturing and you're getting used to this whole setup.
Mm-hmm.
What are the little things you think you're going to try to work on over this next year to help set you up for that next level?
Yeah. With Supercross and stuff, like, and I'm still 18 years old, I'm not as good as with my nutrition, as I should say. I'm definitely, for motocross, I'm definitely getting into it a little bit better. I didn't want to change anything up for Supercross. I just eat a little bit healthier, but I need to get way better.
Right.
So, but other than that, I'm pretty good with cardio and all that, and my strength and everything. So I'm just mainly my nutrition, honestly.
Awesome.
So. Yeah.
So I know you're kind of doing like the whole privateer thing, but you have a good group of guys that have been backing you for a while.
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance to shout them out. And basically just give us a wrap up, man. Anything you want to leave us with?
Obviously KS Trenchco. He's been helping me out a ton with bikes and just hotels and gas and everything. He's helped me out a ton. And Toe Control, Triangle Cycles, FMF, Cycra, MEP, Braking, just my whole family and everyone. I just can't thank them enough. So
awesome, dude. Well, like I said, I can't thank you enough. Just to reiterate, guys, this is his house. Like, we had to bring this to him, but thank you to you and your family and everyone for having us. Thanks for sitting down and chatting with us, man. As a Carolina boy, I'm super proud of you. I'm excited to see where you go from here. And yeah, man, I think everybody should be expecting big things out of Luke Neese in the future.
Thank you, man. Thanks
Cool
for having
deal.
me. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys, this has been episode 2. Tune in for next week, and hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the Upshift MX podcast. Going to take a quick break to switch Luke out for his dad, and we'll be back with more action. Huge thank you to the Neese family once again for letting us come out and shoot this second episode. Okay, so we're sitting here with Pops, Jim Neese. So I kind of talked with Luke a little bit whether or not he felt any pressure going into arena cross with your background in racing as well. What was it like for you? I mean, like, obviously you've been his moto dad growing up, but I mean, like, for him to be a pro now and to be in such an elite ranking, in a sport,
right.
1% of the 1%, what's that like for you?
Are you talking about specifically the arena cross, or with Supercross
just in general? I mean, like, he's he's been an idol for me even growing up, just as to what you can do on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to a race and there's people looking at your son like he's just the next big thing.
It's different. Like, the arena cross was really, really surreal for me because that's where I kind of ended my career.
Right.
So that was kind of it was still kind of fresh for me a little bit, and to go with him to those was really, really cool because I still knew everybody there, and most of the people there are still like family to me.
Right.
So to have him racing with those guys, and I think he was still racing some of the guys that I actually raced with, was really surreal and just really, really cool, man.
Yeah, that's what me and Dad were even talking about, because I remember going to a Greensboro Arena Cross growing up. Like, you were our guy. Like, that was always like Jim Neese is the guy, and so it was cool to see Luke now in the main events, and that's got to be an interesting transformation. How much of like your background as a racer are you trying to? Because obviously, you know, like 2-stroke, 4-strokes, it's a whole different world out there now. Even just the way they style the tracks.
Yeah.
How much is your past, you know, are you giving him pointers, oh, I would do this, I would do that, or is it kind of just letting him find his own?
You know, it's since he's gone to Supercross especially, it's more about him finding his own deal. You know, obviously I'll see little stuff here and there, but I kind of stepped back a little bit a couple years ago just because it got to the point to where it honestly just scared me a little bit. I couldn't push him like I could push my other riders doing my classes, because it just, you know, I was like, okay, slow down a little bit. You're going too fast.
Right.
And I couldn't be that way as a trainer. And because you know, you have to push.
Absolutely.
Push. And I kind of had to separate myself a little bit. But you know, we still see things and talk about things, but it's definitely got some differences to what it used to be.
Right.
But even still, there's a lot that's still just like it used to be, you know, especially with mental aspects and stuff like that. But I think he's finding his own way for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about that too, him kind of trying to make his own image, and I think he's doing a great job of that. He also, one of the things that I found interesting was he said that for him, the pro stuff is actually a little bit more relaxing. He doesn't find it near as stressful. How do you feel as far as that aspect? I mean, we kind of talked about once you're at the top level, every race is an opportunity to make a name for yourself, whereas in the amateurs, Loretta's and Minios, and those are kind of only the opportunities you have.
And that's exactly right. It's way more laid back. And I don't know the reason. It's just weird. We put so much pressure on ourselves at the amateur races. And it may be because of what you said, because there's just a few races throughout the year to really, you have to make it happen. And for Supercross and Nationals, you have, if you mess up this weekend, you have next weekend.
Right.
And it's a lot different too, because you train a couple days, get a race. Train a couple days, get a race. For amateur stuff, it's like you train for 3 months for that one show or something like that. So it's really, really stressful at that point, and it's short laps, and you have to make it happen then.
Well, and even like the Loretta stuff, so many people get hurt just training for the race.
Exactly.
Like a week before they go to a practice track and get hurt. And so to have all those guys every single weekend, and you kind of touched on a little bit the mental aspect of it. You know, I asked Luke, I was like, you know, for these guys, you know, for me to walk up to an Eli Tomac, even though I may be taller than him, like I still look up to him. I think of these guys as giants.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest key as far as seeing yourself in the moto with these guys? I mean, like I feel like it's got to be difficult to come from watching these guys on TV to all of a sudden you're lining up in between
definitely.
them.
And I think it's harder for this generation because I didn't have social media and all that stuff, so I didn't know who these guys were other than I'd see a few of them in a magazine. You didn't see all of them like we do these days. So it's definitely, I think, harder mentally for the guys nowadays because of social media. But I think seeing them in person and getting, like the last couple of years, he's gotten to ride with a lot more guys with Cooper Webb and that whole Star Racing being over here. And, so he's able to ride with the people. So that makes a huge, huge difference. And just being around them, seeing that they're just like he is.
Well, it's like he said these people aren't superheroes. They're just guys. Yeah, they're just racers.
And then you can also, when you're at these races and watching practice and different things and watching the struggles that they're having, and it's not just him struggling or whoever. They're all having their struggles. So you get to see that too, that they're not superheroes, that they actually mess up.
Yeah, everyone's got a little bit of
and then and then the other thing is you do have a few of those guys like Tomac and those guys, but then you have the rest,
right?
And the rest are definitely attainable. You can have a few of those superstars that and we hope we get there, but let's first get the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's like I told him. I think you guys have done a great job of not putting an insane amount of pressure on him. I think, and I didn't know that he played baseball in the past and stuff like that, but I think you kind of letting him come into his own in the sport, and we talked about this in the first episode of the podcast, really having that love for motocross, I feel like makes a huge difference.
I don't think you can race motocross if you don't have
a passion for it. Exactly. And yeah, I have mad respect for your whole family and the way you guys have done it, and I wish you guys all the best in the future. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Jim Neese, ladies and gentlemen.
My wife wants you to play the guitar,
You got a guitar here? I'll throw down a song. I didn't bring it with me, no.